morning and welcome to the special Island Stat Sports Talk. I'm your host, Earl Baston, and joining me is none other than Jaden Masters. Jaden, thank you very much for joining. Welcome to the show. We want to talk about your career. You called an end to your football career at the last match at the National Sports Center. But I want to go through your career because it's quite a very unique one that you had a lot of success and a lot of challenges. Um, and we want to just, the first question from me to you would be your first injury. What was the driving force to get back playing?
I was 15. So and I was 15 and I was at IMG, so I was in a good environment. It hadn't been nothing that I hadn't seen, so I think the driving force was just me being young and eager. Um, I knew, I had seen injuries. I've been around injuries because of the environment that I was in. So, the driving force was just getting back and being able to play the sport that I love.
When you have a setback at a young age, and you're right, when you're young, you don't think about it. You just want to get back playing, and you do everything. But then you have you come back, and you're riding this high wave because you're scoring goals, you're doing all these wonderful things, and then another setback.
Mm.
Are you the one that says why me, or just get along with the business of getting back to playing something you love?
I think a few of mine had kind of happened back to back. So um, I had seen, Megan Rapinoe, one of the greats, tear ACL 3 times. So I think by the time I got to three, it was kind of like, well, it's been done before. So nothing that I'm currently going through is nothing that somebody else hasn't gone through. And I think the older I got was definitely more so the mindset of like it could always be worse. Um, I know you did only say that to a certain extent,
Hmm.
in terms of like longevity and all that. But um, yeah, I knew I loved this sport. I knew that, you know, my parents, my family, they had sacrificed a lot to, just give me the opportunities that I got and go away at such a young age. But that was part of it, but also too in the back end, like I just wanted to be able to play. Like I always had in my brain, like I want to play D1 college soccer, and I want to go play as long as I can, to the highest level. But yeah, like I always had that drive in me. I tell people all the time I've been defiant my whole life, so um, I don't think that probably helped a little bit. Like hearing people in your ear telling you, you can't do something, or hang up your boots. Like what I mean. Like give it up. Like I'm not gonna do what you tell me to do. So now I'm gonna prove to you that I could do otherwise. And I did just that.
Yeah. When you look back at it all, what stands out as something that you will never forget? A successful part of your career. What's one of those things?
Yeah, asking like a cool memory or just like one.
Yeah, yeah.
Honestly, I don't really have a core memory that I could probably think of, but I would just say more so on like the personality side, just more so my resilience side. Um, I look back sometimes and I'm like, how did you do that? You know what I mean? Like how did you get through that? And yeah, I think I sometimes tend to forget, but sometimes when looking for that motivation currently in life, like sometimes I just have to look in the mirror, like you've been through worse. Um, I don't know how you did it. I don't know how. I'm not gonna lie, but I did it. So sometimes like I'm my own internal motivation, but I wouldn't say a core memory stands out. I have so many. Like started playing football at 8, and I'm 23, so whereas yeah, I did face a lot of hardship. I also faced a lot of success and good things along that journey as well.
How much of your faith you think helped carry you through the emotional part, especially the downside of your career?
Um, so I've always been like I grew up around going to church pretty often, but um, the older I got, I would say by the time I hit three ACLs, I was three ACLs, yeah, okay, cool, I would say, but by the time I tore it for the last time, the fourth time, I would say that's kind of when my faith started to really like take off, and I ran amongst myself to create that relationship with God. But you know, I tell people all the time, as cliche as it may sound, like He's the only reason that I'm still standing here. Um, by the time I did turn my ACL fourth time, and I went back to go and do the correction surgery to get my leg broken. Like I hit rock bottom, and then I went through the phase where I had to now transfer schools, and that's another rock bottom moment. Going into a new environment that maybe I didn't 100% want to get go into, but faith. So it's definitely played a part, and I think just currently in the older I get, like it's just getting stronger and stronger. But looking back, it definitely played a part because I mean, like you said, I could sit here and say I don't know how I did it, but you know that I know how I did it. Because
Hmm.
it's no other way I would have been able to get through this,
Yeah,
my journey any other way.
yeah, yeah. When 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 did you decide, or when was that decision made that the last game was going to be your last game, and what were the factors around it?
So it's definitely been something that's been on my heart for years. Like yeah, that the last I would say going into my senior year of well, I can't say senior year, my fifth year of college. So I didn't want to take my fifth year honestly, but the driving factor was the fact that I graduated in December and not May. So the collegiate season is August to December. Me, I mean I'm saying this now as I'm completing my masters, but I couldn't see myself being in school and not playing a sport. So it was like, wow, you have 2 years left at the time. So just take this season as your like senior year, and you're gonna graduate in December anyway. So um, that helped. And then I always knew that I wanted to finish in Bermuda, um, on home soil. So if Guatemala in December would have been in Bermuda, then that would have been my last game. But that opportunity presented itself in March, so that's when I, took the opportunity. But it's something that's been on my heart and my mind for a long time. Like it's not something I wanted to, but I genuinely I think I started to like I'm always gonna love football, but I fell out of love like with the process, and I always tell myself, the minute it starts to feel like a job or a chore or something that I have to go out of my way and do, like I owe it to myself to, wrap it up. And I'm sure injuries play a part. You know what I mean? I did the math looking back, and I missed about 3.5, almost 4 years of just development and playing between 15 and 21, 22. Yes, so yeah, I wouldn't say it was like some spontaneous decision. It's definitely something that was on my mind for years, and I had to just make the decision and stick to it. I'm not one to make a decision and then go back. Like so, I wanted to know whenever I did make that decision that I was fully content, and I was.
Mm. When you go to training for that last week, when you're with all the people you kind of grew up with, you've been through a lot of highs and lows on the international stage with. What was that week like for you heading to that last game?
Yeah, I mean, camp's always fun. Like I always looked forward to national team trips more so just to be around the girls. Like football, yes, love that. Love being able to put on, my country. my country's badge and the jersey and everything. Like all of that, I don't take for granted. But trips, I look forward to being around girls. Such a great group of ladies. Um, so I would say it was more so just sucking it all in, like just taking it all in. Obviously, the emotions came and highs and lows with it because ultimately it's not like the decision's easy. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
With how the way the game ended, obviously I wanted to go back on my word and one more, but you know it don't work like that. Like everything's not gonna go the way you want it in life. It happened the way it was supposed to happen, but it was good. It was alright. Like I said, I was riding the wave of emotions, but I was just trying to tell myself be in the present. Like just enjoy the moment. Don't think too far forward, and don't look back either.
Yeah, well, as you know, the your teammates are getting ready for another encounter tomorrow night.
Mm.
What would your week be like if you were still in the setup and getting ready for tomorrow night? What's your routine the day before and the night before of the game?
Honestly, I don't really have a strict routine. I would say just make sure one, my mind's right. You know, I think the week leading up, I try to limit all distractions. But I don't really have nothing crazy. The day of the game, I just watch a sermon and read my scriptures as I do every day. That's nothing new. But just pray a lot. That's literally it. Just prayer.
Mm. Now, what is something you will miss about playing, whether it be college, international, or even just a yard kick? What's something you think you're gonna miss?
Um, I I would really just say the team aspect and just like the locker room essentially. Like I said, just being around the girls. Like if being around a good group of girls is what makes it enjoyable. You know what I mean? Um, it's easy to go to training, go cricket, football, go play a game, and school rules. But if after or before that game you can't even smile and be in a good space in your locker room, then you know um, it's not fun. And I've had the privilege of being in good locker rooms for the last 3 4 years. So I would say I would miss that aspect. I'm always gonna miss playing. You know what I mean? I didn't necessarily hang up my cleats willingly. Like, you know what I mean? My body's tired as well,
Mm.
based off like from what I've been through. So I'm always gonna miss kicking. But me being out here and helping coach and all that, like I'm still around it. So um, yeah, it's not like it's been completely stripped away from me. I'm still around a football every day.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's another subject I want to talk about because um, some people do like to stay involved in the game when they retire. Others kind of walk away. But what's driving you to want to stay involved in the game and be, in a coaching aspect?
Yeah, I think I hold humbly speaking, I think I hold a lot of value. I think I bring a lot of value to this game. Um, so I would say that, and then more so just the next generation of girls that we have coming up. Like it's bigger than me, and it's bigger than the the girls that are in the senior team right now. You know what I mean? Because we're gonna age out in a couple of years. You know what I mean? Like it's mothers out there on that team. Everybody's got full time jobs. You know what I mean? Um, so I want to stay in it for the next generation. The U17 girls that just came off an amazing campaign, and U15 and um, U13, U7, oh yeah, U10 like I mean everybody that's they're gonna beat us in 5+ years. But this game's given me so much, and like I owe it back to the game, pretty much. I mean, it's gotten me where I'm at today. I was at IMG, I was at Houston, then I was at ULM. You know what I mean? I've seen multitudes of countries. So I owe it to the game.
Yeah. When you hear the news that FIFA has put in place that every international team or national team has to have a female coach or an assistant coach as a female, is that something that you want to aspire to?
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of said it after the who played what who played at home Costa Rica, Costa Rica. I said it after the Costa Rica game, like you know, I hope to be standing in Coach Kita's shoes, like the legacy that she's built and everything that she's done for one the women's side, but Bermuda football as a whole is something to look forward to. Like I aspire to do those things and greater things. You know what I mean? But yeah, like I think that's a great rule put in place. I don't see why women's teams could have a whole male staff. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think that's long overdue, and I think that's something to look forward to. I also think that um, there's other people like me that maybe they didn't play, but um, you know, or maybe they didn't play at the highest level, but they hold good knowledge of the game. You know what I mean? I think it's also going to drive people to want to go out and get the coaching badges and learn the game more. But I think that's FIFA taking one step in the right direction, 100%.
Mm. You mentioned you wanted to be in the spot, something like Coach Keita. Um, she and Vance have been like parents to you on the field since you were a young age. What you think about how they have helped develop you as a player and and other teammates?
Yeah. That's like that. It's like an easy question and a hard question at the same time. But I would just say like when our group came in as that U15 group in what 2016, and then
Mhm.
went through all the age groups. Like I think what helped is we was the same group for like what 5+ years. Um,
Right.
so literally we was the same group for those years. Like when we look back, I was like, God, it's the same. You know what I mean? So I think that,
Hmm.
um, and I think that's also why that team saw so much success. You know what I mean? Um, Leading us into to the women's, but they hopped on development. I'm talking about we would be at BFA for hours just doing technical work. No girl involved, no nothing. Like just throwing the ball and volleying or passing or two touches, one touch. Like you know what I mean? We focus on a lot of development, and I do think that is what the younger girl side, man side, or boy side, you can say lack now. Um, um, it's easy to say, we're gonna go away for tournaments and go win games, but I mean, if we're not doing the basics, then we're gonna struggle when we get to those bigger stages.
What would you want people to remember about Jaden Masters, the footballer?
Jaden Masters of football. I don't. I know I'm gonna be remembered as a footballer, obviously, but I just think that I'm more than just a sport. I think that I bring a lot of value to the sport. I mean, but I think that I'm more than just a sport. Like if you could remember me, then I want to be remembered for my resilience and what I went through. Um, so that the little girl could look up and say, well, if she was able to go through that, then I could go through that as well. Somebody could have to stop playing and she continued playing, then I could keep playing as well. So I don't want to be remembered for what I did on the field. I wanna be remembered for what I did off the field to get back on the field.
Mm. Okay. And what's your message to your former teammates going into tomorrow's match?
Yeah, we're not somewhere we haven't been. You know, what I mean, we've been in these shoes multiple times. So I would just say, do exactly what we've been doing. You know what I mean? With this is the last window, I'm pretty sure.
Hmm.
You know, go out there and know that you're playing for something bigger than just yourselves. You know what I mean? We're playing for the country, you're playing for your parents, you're playing for the sacrifices. You're playing for your children. Like, you know what I mean? We're playing for something bigger than ourselves, we're playing for the country, but know that, the people that are supporting you, are supporting you by far, So go
Hmm.
out there and let's just finish the campaign off the way we're supposed to. And I'm not worried at all. We have a great group of ladies that were selected and that are out there. And I trust the coaching staff and I trust the girls.
All right. Well, Jaden, thank you very much for joining me this morning. Um, we look forward to seeing you back on the sideline sometime soon and helping others to progress in the sport.
Yes, yes. I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Same to you. Same to you.
Okay.
Bye.